what up? Welcome into another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we always start this show by being transparent. And yesterday, I got back on track a little bit there. I did lose on the under in the Mavericks and Timberwolves game, but I was able to cash that Mavs plus 650 to win the West. Able to cash Kyle Anderson over 11 and a half points, rebounds, and assists. And then the Storm got the job done in the WNBA. So try to keep that going here. Fino, nice to have you back. How's everything been treating you, and how you doing today?
Things are good today. Skee had to take a pass yesterday. Had a little office construction going on, so he wasn't involved, at least where clients are concerned. Big win by Dallas, wire to wire. Good call on the plus 650 to win the West. That's a nice ticket cash right there with the Mavericks. But we're looking forward to today. The WNBA schedule is pretty deep, 4 games for them. And it's been an interesting week in the WNBA, Skee. So I look forward to talking them out with you.
Yeah, it should be good. You know, we got a guest here already. It was before the show even started. 9:52 a.m. Eddie Cash with dark green. And Boofer, his spreadsheet is working. He says Eddie stole his guess. He's recalculating. But shout out to Eddie Cash. You are the winner for today. And I think he just won recently too. So hit me up on Discord and we'll get you some free lunch today. So appreciate everybody for guessing. Don't have to go through the rest of the guesses now because we know who won already. But I'll ask you really quick before we get started on WNBA here, Rob. What did you think of the ending to that series we saw last night?
I won't say that I saw that size of a win coming, but I thought Dallas was the better team still. Luka and Kyrie, I mean, Skee, there's regular season tandems that are good, and then there's playoff tandems that are good. And Anthony Edwards and Towns, it's nice regular season, but it's not enough in the playoffs. I think we found out Kyrie and Luka is a lot in the playoffs, and having Derek Lively back made a huge difference once again. We'll see. I know we've talked about it the last couple of years. Jason Tatum, we don't want to hear any Kobe Bryant references until you do something. So we'll see how Tatum and Brown do. But I know we'll talk about it a lot next week because it's a long wait before they start. But game 1, the first question you got to ask, and it's the one that can only be answered after the game's over, rest or rust. That's going to be like 11 days off for Boston. That's crazy before they play another game. So, like I say, we'll get into it deeper. But I did think Dallas was going to put that series away last night, and they did.
Yeah, they did. If you had the money line, I think it was plus 165, somewhere around there. So that could have been very good too. So let's get into it. We got WNBA up for today. We have 4 games on the slate. Let's go in rotation order. We'll start with Las Vegas Aces at Atlanta Dream. Opened up Aces minus 8.5. They're a 9-point favorite now. Total looks like 171.5. Went up 1 point there. Chelsea Gray, actually game time decision there tonight. So it could be a big boost to get her back out there. We know she's the general. She runs the lineup. And they did just sign Tiffany Hayes. She's very likely to play. So that's a nice addition for the Aces over there. You get both of them back tonight. They might be, a little bit more energized than usual. Dream, you have Alicia Gray, questionable, and they're going to be without Jordan Canada. So missing a couple key pieces there. Rob, Aces haven't been very good on the point spread this year. They're usually like a first half team, and so far they're 1-4 in the first half. Dream also have been slow starters. Who do you think comes out and throws the first punch in this game, and how do you see this one going?
I think it's tough for Atlanta. Skee, it really is with Alicia Gray. But to counter that, your earlier injury report of perhaps getting Chelsea Gray back and trying to work pieces back into the lineup, we know how that goes, right? There's some disruption sometimes, and that could happen here in a game where you're a 9-point favorite. You're expected to win. It could be that the Aces put forth their best road effort the other night when they beat Minnesota. Went into Minnesota. Minnesota's 5-0 against the spread. Minnesota had defeated. Did they beat Connecticut? They beat New York in that building. I know that. And boy, they were ready for the Aces, but the Aces showed why they're the best team in the league. And that might have been their A effort that night. It's interesting because going off of last night, and I was wondering about this last night, in the NBA, how we do all these games every single night on these shows, and starter injuries wind up meaning nothing. It's almost like fade the team that has the personnel advantage when a starter is out, or the personnel disadvantage, excuse me. Last night, both games featured some injury advantages, and in the WNBA, it doesn't work that way. The teams that were supposed to won last night. Chicago won easily, and Seattle, as you mentioned, won easily. So I wonder if, Atlanta being shorthanded in this league doesn't mean more than it does in the NBA. Still have to kind of figure that out, but I don't know that I could play against the Aces here, Skee. They're probably just that much better. The only concern I would have, again, would be the disruption factor if, in fact, Chelsea Gray comes back in and plays, and Tiffany Hayes as well.
Yeah, this is, Ben says they're terrible with double-digit spreads, single digits they have been covering. I mean, 8.5, first half will be like, 5, 4.5, something like that. That does seem like a reasonable price for these Aces. And just like I said, even though the Aces haven't been good early, the Dream have been just as bad. So maybe you can sneak in there with the Aces first half, -4.5. That would probably be my recommendation for this game. All right, let's move it on over. Next game up, we have Mystics and Liberty. This one opened Liberty -15.5 down to 13.5. Total open 162. It's all over the place. There's a 159.5 out there. There's a 161 out there. So make sure you line shop depending on what you like. Vandersloot, questionable for tonight for the Liberty. And then you still have Sykes out for the Mystics. And Shakira Austin, always on the injury report, but she is probable. She's likely to be out there on the court tonight. For this one, Rob, I was looking a little bit more towards the total. And I think I agree with it going down here. You have two teams who, Liberty, surprisingly, bottom 3 in pace this season. And it makes sense. I mean, they did lose some big pace with Johannes gone. I keep saying that. And the Mystics, they're not a team that has wanted to play fast over the past few years. I'm not surprised for them to be middle of the pack. That Mystics offense is a fade for me. If they're going to win or cover any games, it's going to be because of the defense. So if neither team is playing up tempo, New York could be without their point guard. Defense is playing better than the offenses right now. I'm thinking under. And I look a little bit closer. Both teams are combined. I'm sorry. Well, no. Yeah, there we go. Both teams are combined 11-3 to the first half under. So that's the route I chose to go. I took under 82 in the first half. How do you feel about it, Vino?
All right, so I didn't take any route in this game. We just talked about Las Vegas not being a great big favorite. New York's a horrendous big favorite, and they're 1-6 against the number this season. I don't know. The Liberty's all over the place for a team that's supposed to be second best and contending for a title. They're not off to a very dominant start whatsoever. Showed up again the other night against Phoenix, a team that they, walked in as a 14-point home favorite against, walk out with a 3-point win, get smashed by 17 in Minnesota the game before. Until New York gets right, I don't want any part of them. That being said, who wants any part of the Washington offense? And you're almost holding your nose, taking the points here and just praying that they can score enough and hold the other team down enough, which would lead toward an underplay, which you're suggesting there. I just didn't like either side here, Skee. Don't like what I'm seeing out of New York as far as who they're supposed to be and what they are on the court actually. And if I look back, the last couple of games here, 159 and 151 totals posted by New York. So perhaps under is the right way here. Phoenix is a tempo team, and that game only hit 159 the other night.
I'm not mistaken, the Liberty are the only team without a win. So I'm just double checking here. Yeah, 0-7 so far. So I know they're still going to be desperate and hungry to play, to try and get off the snide. If they lose tonight, I think they tied a franchise record for I think losses to start the season or something like that. Losses in a row. It's one of the two. So they don't want to be on that list. I know we'll get effort from the Mystics. I probably lean towards that direction. And the Liberty just haven't been covering anything either. Let me just put the numbers. Liberty full game, they're 1-6 against the spread. Haven't covered one game at home. One comment, Chad says you guys really just now betting the W. I've been betting the W since probably 2017 or 18. So that is not correct. That is not a correct statement. Next game, we have Dallas and Connecticut. Opened up Sun -7.5. They're 8.5-point favorites now. Total opened up 164.5. Currently looks like 160.5. Injury report. Same usual suspects for Dallas out. Sabely, Howard, Brown, and the Connecticut looks like they should be pretty healthy out there tonight. I keep thinking about that comment, Vino. You say, why don't you let Rob go first sometime? So what are you thinking about Dallas and Connecticut?
All right, so I do have a thought here, Skee, and it's on the dog, plus 9 points. And kind of disagree with the line movement here, and the play could end up being wrong. But I'll say this: Connecticut's 6 wins this year are by 7 or less. They're laying 9 in this game. 3 of their wins have been by 4 points or less. And the competition hasn't been great that the Sun has played, right? There's only 2 teams that the Sun have played this season that have a plus net rating. Those are Minnesota and Chicago. And they beat Minnesota by 1 point and they beat Chicago by 4. So they haven't been crushing people to the tune of laying 9, which they are in this game. Since they played that opener against Indiana, Caitlin Clark's first game, which everybody anticipated, they're 1-4 against the spread. Again, their only 2 spread wins this season are against Indiana in that game, and the Tuesday night game they just played against Phoenix, where Phoenix was shorthanded on the road and only had 1 starter over 6'1". Tough way to go if you're the Mercury. They're without their starting guard, Rebecca Allen. Dallas, if I just look at the matchup here, Skee, Connecticut, I think, as we all know, interior-based team, slow-paced team, excellent defensive team so far. But Dallas is the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the WNBA. It's a little bit surprising. Number 1 offensive rebounding team. Connecticut's 10th defensive rebounding, which kind of suggests a lot of second chance points here for the Dallas Wings. And the Wings actually are the best team in the league, points in the paint. They're getting 45.3 per game in the paint. So a lot of the things that Connecticut does well, Dallas has been doing even better. Not against a great schedule either, but a little bit better than the schedule that Connecticut's played. Then you have to figure in the Dallas pace. Now, I know Connecticut just played a pace team in Phoenix the other night, an extreme tempo team, and they beat them 70-47. Again, they crushed that team inside in that game. Dallas is the number 1 tempo team in the league, and we'll see if they're running and they're rebounding and the stuff they do well, their points in the paint doesn't affect Connecticut. Again, a team that hasn't been all that great at winning by big margins. They're actually the 12th fastest team in the league, so they go slow. It'll be a good contrast there. What I would say about the Wings, if you're going to be concerned, scheduling's a concern, right? It's the 4th straight road game. They haven't been home since May 21st. It's a long time. 4 games in 11 days, so they've kind of been spaced out, but it's a long time not to be home. Again, their strength of schedule hasn't been that great, but they do have 2 versus Chicago and 1 versus Atlanta, who are positive net rating teams. Dallas 3-0 against the spread on this road trip. I kind of think that Connecticut can win the game, but to lay 9 here to me seems a little bit iffy, despite the small concerns on the Dallas side. I think they do some things that Connecticut does real well, that Dallas can battle them at. So maybe +9 is worth the look. At least to me, it is. I'm looking now, Skee, and I see it back down to 8.5. So the 9s are long gone, I guess, and we're back to 8.5 here.
Couple things you said. Dallas, they do like to play up tempo, but Connecticut does not. Connecticut is the slowest playing team so far in the W and the best defensive team. So thinking about that, and then something else you mentioned there. I mean, that's a fatigue spot if I ever heard one. I mean, fourth straight game, all on the road, um, and they just won a game that they were underdog in. So a little bit of a letdown spot at the same time. If I combine both of those and put them into the database, it gives me 25-8 to the under going back to 2013, and that makes sense to me. Connecticut is more than capable of locking them up, especially if they are tired. So I chose the under. I bet it at 161.5. I still think they stay under the 160 mark for tonight.
Hey, real quick, Skee, for anybody
for it.
interested in the Wings have a 5th road game on Sunday. We won't be doing a show, but something to look at as far as Sunday is concerned.
Absolutely. I didn't see who they play. Let's see. They play Minnesota. So could be another spot to get back on Minnesota at the house. Let's keep going right along. We got one more game left here. Mercury and Lynx. Now this one hasn't really moved. It opened Lynx -7, still sitting right there. Total hasn't really moved either, sitting at 164.5. Injury report for the Lynx. Donovan Miller is out. Rebecca Allen and Brittany Griner both out for the Mercury. Now this is the Mercury's 3rd game in 4 nights. And I want to say it's Minnesota's 2nd game in like 5 nights. So Mercury, a little bit, I mean, not too much, but a little bit shorthanded here and been playing a hell of a lot of basketball lately. You have Minnesota off of a bad loss. I mean, they played a good team. They played the Aces, but they lost by 14. So returning back home here, I feel like it's a spot for the Lynx to get back on track. I think the longer the game goes, the Mercury kind of run out of gas here. I would be looking towards the Lynx -7 if I'm playing this game. And the total kind of confuses me. So, Vino, how you feeling about this one?
Well, a couple of ways. I do think the Lynx is the right side here. Back-to-back home games, one which, as you mentioned, was a bad loss. They were ready. The crowd was ready for that game, and it stayed close for a little bit, and they got real close in the 3rd quarter, but Phoenix pulled away. Las Vegas pulled away. It just shows the separation at this point in time between the two teams, and maybe between the Aces and the rest of the league for that matter. So you get a bounce-back situation here for a team that stays at home, gets a day off to think about it, and as you mentioned, you get Phoenix 3rd in 4 days shorthanded. I just don't know that it's a great spot for Phoenix. We just talked about 4th in 11 days, maybe being tough for Dallas. 3 and 4 on the road is really tough. The Lynx shot their worst percentage from the field in that game the other night against Phoenix. They shot 36.9%. That's noteworthy because this is the best true shooting percentage team in the WNBA this year, over 55%. And prior to that, and the Lynx have played a schedule, Skee. They really have played a schedule. 50% shooting against Atlanta, 47.8 against the Liberty, 48.5 they shot against Connecticut, 44.3 against Seattle, 45.3 against Seattle. So 4 of their 5 games, 2 Seattles, 1 Connecticut, 1 Liberty. Those are 3 of the 4 best defensive rated teams in the WNBA. Phoenix is nowhere near that. I think they're at 11th, 2nd to worst. So a step down in class for Minnesota offensively, who I'm a big bounce back guy. You shot lousy against the Aces. You probably shoot well against this team. When they win big. Their wins this year are by 13, 17, 9, and 13. So again, I think if you're going to trust them, you can trust them as a favorite here. They're number 1 in points off of turnovers. They get 23 per game. Phoenix is 4th worst at their opponents scoring off of turnovers. So turnover-prone team against a team that capitalizes off of them. Again, Phoenix is an up-tempo team, and Minnesota hasn't played extreme tempo opposition yet. They did play Seattle a couple of games, first 2 of the season, when Seattle's kind of getting used to themselves. So I don't know that, I know that when we talked about Connecticut and Dallas, it was 1 versus 12 as far as tempo goes. Here you've got 2 versus 11, so kind of the same thing. But I'm of the opinion that Minnesota might not be afraid to go with these guys. They can probably get margin that way. And even if they don't, they're the number 1 defensive team in the league. So it's going to be tough on the Mercury. Again, I see a lot of reasons to bet Minnesota in this game. And one last thing I'll say is their team total is 86.5. And they averaged 81.8, almost 82 a game against those 3 teams that I talked about that are 3 of the 4 best defensive teams in the league. If you can get 82 on average against Connecticut, New York, and Seattle, you can get to 87 against Phoenix, especially their 3rd and 4th nights. So I think Minnesota team total is good. I think Minnesota minus the points is good.
All right, so we're both liking the Lynx in some kind of capacity there. Good stuff, Vino. That is the WNBA card. And now we can move it on over to best bets. So as you guys know, you can find both of our work at wagertalk.com. The link to both of our profiles is in the description to the video. And Rob, I know you've been hot. Maybe let people know how you've been doing and the best bet for the show.
Real quick, NBA Skee, number 1 at Wager Talk since April 1st, number 1 at Wager Talk since May the 1st. So it's a couple of months running now, been the profit leader over there as far as NBA is concerned. Been good. WNBA has been very, very slow and steady here on the season, 67%. So we're going to look to extend it tonight, though. We've got selections up and available at wagertalk.com. I'm going to leave you one right here, and it's the game we just talked about. I really think Minnesota's in a good spot here. You can get 6.5, so don't lay the 7 if you don't want to. You can search and find 6.5s here. Just find Phoenix to be a little bit outmatched and a little bit weary as far as scheduling is concerned. So Minnesota is a team that's proven to win by margin. I'll trust them to win by margin here. Lay 6.5 with the Lynx is the best bet.
All right, good stuff, Vino. Appreciate you. And hopefully you have a good weekend, and we'll catch back up next week.
All right, buddy. Thanks for having me. Good luck to the chat this weekend.
Appreciate it. Now, let's move it on over to let me get this off the screen really quick. Move it on over. Let's add my guy in here. 5-star. What's good, Brody?
What's up, brother? How you doing? Can you hear me well?
I hear you good.
Good.
I'm doing good. I had a good night yesterday, so trying to take that into today. I liked a little bit of WNBA. We just talked it out with Mr. Vino, and now coming to talk some more winners out with you. So I don't know. I'm feeling we just finished basketball. Let's talk some hoops real quick.
We'll talk a little bit.
All right, so we only got one series left in the NBA. That is going to be the Celtics and the Mavericks. Both teams have been damn good, and I got to pat myself on the back a little bit. I did a bracket, and these were the 2 teams I had making it to the finals.
Nice.
The team I said, I remember what I said. It was I said that I think the Celtics will win, even though I don't want them to.
Right.
So I'm curious, how you thinking about this series between the Mavericks and the Celtics?
I'm with you. The same exact thoughts about it. I got to go with the Celtics. How can you not? They've been the best team all year in the NBA. I think recency bias have us where we're kind of, glamorizing the Mavs, giving them a little bit too much, love. Don't get me wrong. They played well. Much like you remember, I tweeted way earlier in the season. I thought that they would have to beat Denver to get to the finals, but I said they could beat Denver in the series because we thought that, that would be all doors went through Denver to get to the finals, but Minnesota played well. They upset them. They were a little bit ahead of schedule, so it ended up where they had to, go through Minnesota, and they dodged Denver. But I did expect Dallas to be here. If not for sure, here's the Western Conference champions, that they had a chance of as any good as chance as the champs to be there, and they made it. great job. Minnesota was a young team, didn't have a lot of experience. Now they're running into guys where now it's kind of the opposite. Now we got Kyrie, who's played in some finals, but besides that, who on the Mavs has finals experience? Their coach has been in some finals. He's a great head coach. But and that's probably the only way that I can see the Mavs pulling off the upset is if Mazzulla just has a meltdown for the Celtics, because we've seen them try some experimental stuff and kind of blow it. So I think that's the only edge that I really see for the Mavs is in the coaching spectrum. But besides that, as far as the team, you got probably four of the best wing defenders in the league all on the same team. You know, you got Drew Holiday. He's 16-8 against Kyrie Irving head-to-head throughout his career when they played each other and win-loss. You got Brown. You have Tatum. We know that they play really good defense, two of the best two-way players in the league. And then, you know, the hidden jewel that now I'm glad Josh Hart said something about it, but you and I and people who bet have always known about how good Derek White is. I remember I had a big argument with a guy on X because he tried to tell me Derek White wasn't a good player at the beginning of the year, and I was like, he was the number one guy for the Spurs. They were about to build around him before the trade, and he all of a sudden forgot all of this stuff and said Derek White was just, you know, an average NBA player. But I'm glad he's got a chance to showcase his skills this year, especially in the playoffs. Excellent three-point shooter, but most of all, he does everything well on defense. You got two defenders in the backcourt like Drew Holiday and Derek White. You're looking pretty good. And then we know that the offense of the Celtics is so efficient. They shoot the three better than anyone in the league. And you got Porzingis coming back. I just think all signs point to the Celtics wrapping this up in 5 or 6. In my opinion, I think they win in Dallas to win it all. They've been the best team at home, so I don't see Dallas going to Boston and winning the game. It was 43-6 on the year at home. And the last time that these two faced each other in Dallas, it wasn't really close, and it really wasn't close the game before that. And this is the game in Boston that they played. Remember, I think we talked about this game when Dallas had their full arsenal that we're seeing now in the playoffs, and they got handled really easily by the Celtics, man. I just think the Celtics are going to be very confident this series, that they feel like it's their time. I don't expect Tatum to do anything. I'm not relying on him, because if you rely on Tatum, you know how we both feel about him. So I don't think that Tatum's going to be the one to get it done. I expect a really big series from Brown and the other guys. Drew Holiday, I think he's going to be posting up Kyrie, you know, giving them hell in the post and getting them in foul trouble, getting them out of his game. We know the crowd is really going to be on Kyrie's role in Boston, so we're going to see if it makes him better or if it makes him play, you know, a little bit under his normal game. But we've seen in the past in the two matchups this year that it seems like the way the Celtics like to defend this team is they let Luka get his. They're going to let Luka go crazy, but they're not going to allow the others to score. They're going to cut down his assists. So Luka probably still goes for 30 every game in this series, but I still think at the end of the day, the Celtics can get it done. And I'm going to lay the 1.5 games and take that even money.
Okay, I gotta ask you, coaching is a big deal. So you give the coaching edge to the Mavericks, right? That's what you said.
Slightly. Mazzulla isn't bad. He's just had some really bad mistakes when he makes mistakes. You know what I mean?
I got you. I do think this is a much different test for the Mavericks than what they've been seeing. I mean, it is a tougher test for the Celtics as well. But Celtics minus 1.5. He thinks he's gonna get the job done pretty easily. So good stuff from you there. Let's move it on over. Move it on over to some tennis. And actually, before we go to tennis, we haven't had you on in a little bit, but congrats on that Pacers to win the series pick that you had. It was plus 2 something, right?
Yeah, we hit plus 215, plus 275, plus 375. I appreciate that, Skee, but you've been lights out, man. I'm just trying to follow your lead on the NBA because I got crushed. I went to sleep like 7 o'clock yesterday because I took the Timberwolves first half minus 2.5. That was over first quarter, bro. I literally I lit one. I went in the backyard, cleared my mind, and went and laid down. It's like, I'm gonna get up and be ready for 1 a.m. so I can bet some tennis. But speaking of that, the Timberwolves, great job to them. I have to run a scenario real quick by you because I know you're an NBA guy. What do you think? We've been hearing some news about that OG Anunoby doesn't really care to come back to the Knicks, right? You heard that?
I didn't, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I heard that he said he's willing to look outside. I don't know if he's just saying that to, run up the The bidding war make them paying more. Maybe he's being sharp with that. But I mean, some people don't like New York. Some people love be living in New York, or it's like it's a love or hate with New York. Either you love living there or you hate it. It's not no in between. So maybe he doesn't like, you coming from where he was in Toronto, and then it's, going to New York, two big cities, but they move at different paces. But anyway, I think that the Timberwolves should try to move Cat to New York for OG on a sign and trade if they can pull it off. I think that OG would be willing to do it, and I think that Cat would love to play in New York under the bright lights. We heard a lot of noise about him to the Knicks before. So I just want to run that little trade scenario by you. I think that it would really benefit the Timberwolves. What do you think about that?
I think OG is a good addition to any team. I think that the older Ant gets, the more experience he gets, he'll be able to carry more of the offensive load together. But I don't know. I think OG was really important for the Knicks too, so they will really miss him. But if he doesn't want to be there, I mean, what can you really do? So I like
Right.
OG more than Cat in general. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be looking into that to see where he goes.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's move over to some tennis, and we have a few matches that we want to talk about here. First, looks like Peyton Stearns versus Mira Andreeva,
Yes.
and handicap is +4 games. Sounds like you're liking Stearns.
Yeah, I got to go with Stearns on this. She's won 7 straight matches. She just beat another Russian player who's a real veteran, Kastakin, who's really good on clay. Um, she's 22 years old, went to Texas, University of Texas. She took a different route than most tennis players do. She didn't become a pro immediately. In high school, she played in Austin for a little while, won a NCAA championship, and now she's getting her footing, on the tour. Just won her first Thailand. It was on clay at Arabat in Morocco. Won that tournament. Had a great comeback, man. She was down 0-5 to Lucia Bronzetti. I was watching that match, and I thought it was over with. She just kept fighting. Ends up coming back from 0-5, which is really hard to do, and wins that match. And she's been rolling ever since, man. And she's facing a 17-year-old prodigy in Mira Andreeva. Andreeva's a tough girl. She just beat Belarusian last time she played yesterday. Azarenka, who's Vika, is one of the veterans of the league, of the tour. Very good player, and I'm sure she looked up to her growing up, because even though she plays for Belarus, she's from Russia. So they're both from Moscow, and I'm sure that Andreeva grew up looking up to her. So I think that match, overcoming it, winning a hard, tough 3-setter, took a lot out of the young girl. She's only 17 years old. Stearns is really hot. Another thing that Stearns has going for her, she has a mental edge, because she actually just defeated Andreeva at a 1,000 tournament out in Dubai. It's 1,000 tournaments are the tier right under a major, very prestigious title to win in Dubai. And she was able to beat Andreeva in 3 sets, and she handled it pretty easily, because she won the first set 6-2, lost the second one, and then won the third set 6-1. I just think that that's too many games to give Stearns as hot as she is. She's going to fight. Both of these girls are very ferocious. They're both girls who would like to attack. They don't give up. So it's going to be a really good match. That's why I got to take the games with Stearns, and I would not be surprised if she pulls off the upset at +210.
+210 and +4 games, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to split them. We're going to make it where we get the edge by putting a little bit more on the games. But you got to fish for that, because the great thing about tennis is if Stearns wins the first set, we can just come back, jump live, take Andreeva, and we got a win-win situation.
All right, good stuff. Let's move it on over to, I know this name, Andreescu,
Yes.
Bianca Andreescu, and I don't know the other one, Jasmine Paolini.
Yeah.
Andreescu's the underdog though here. I thought she was pretty good. You still think she can get the job done though?
She's an underdog, Skee, because she's been off tour for 9 months. She had some really bad injuries that she was dealing with. And you know her name because she's a former Grand Slam champion. She won the U.S. Open, had a great run, beat Serena in one of Serena's last years playing. Young girl from Canada, a lot of heart, all the tools. She can really play. She's not really much of a clay player. She's only won, I think, 4 matches on clay since 2023. But she's facing Jasmine Paolini. Paolini has made a great jump this year. I've been watching her a long time. She's from Italy. young Italian girl, man, and she's playing really good this year. She's moved all the way up to number 15 in the world. She actually won Dubai, but it's strange because even though she's from Italy, she's a better hard court player, much like Andreescu. And usually, girls who grow up in playing in Italy, they usually are better on clay, but she's not better on clay. But she has more experience on clay than Andreescu does. With that said, I think Andreescu is a big game hunter. I think she's the type of player that plays her best in these type of situations. Whereas I've seen Paolini get a little tight. She almost lost last match against Haley Baptiste, and Baptiste isn't nearly the type of player that should be even contending with her on clay. But I do have to take the games on this one with Andreescu. I just think that her competitiveness and her experience playing for big matches. Until this year, Paolini hadn't been in any top matches, but she did win in Dubai, so I have to give her a card for that. But I just think Andreescu has too much offense. Even though she's been out 9 months, she looks refreshed. She doesn't look rusty at all. She had 2 really tough matches to get here, whereas in Paolini had 2 matches she should have won. I just think Andreescu can overpower her. So we're going to go with Bianca Andreescu plus 3.5 games. And once again, I'll do the split. I'll sprinkle a little on the plus 170.
Yeah, that's similar to how I would do the ski line. That's what I called it, where you take the money line and the spread, and you kind of just cover your other bet with that spread bet. So I like the idea of doing that. Andreescu is who he likes to win. Last but not least, and I know one of these names too, but not the other. Anna
Svitolina.
Bogdan. Exactly, I know her.
Yeah.
She's the favorite, but you don't think she's worth it. You don't think she should be the favorite. Why can Bogdan win this matchup?
Now, don't get me wrong. Bogdan is one of the most inconsistent players on the tour. She'll drive you mad betting on her because she has these periods where she can't miss and she's hitting all these difficult winners. And then she also has these times where she can't make anything. She's spraying the ball in the stands. She's hitting the net. That's the one thing. The consistency of Svitolina is surely it's more on her side. She's a much more consistent player. But the thing is, Svitolina hasn't been the same player that she was when she was a top 5 player since she got married. You know how it is. Like Marvin Hagler say, it's hard to train when you're sleeping on silk sheets. So she's doing really well. Her husband's very rich. She's rich. She married Gael Monfils, one of my favorite players on the ATP. They got a beautiful little daughter. She doesn't live in Ukraine anymore. She lives in Paris. I'm sure they're living the life, So she doesn't have the hunger. She's made so much money. She's 29. Bogdan is older than her. Actually, Bogdan's 31. Both these ladies have been on tour over a decade. It's just that I cannot lay those type of games with Svitolina right now because she's not playing as well as she used to. She looks a step slower. Her defense was the main thing that made her so great. She was like a wall because you had to get back so many balls against her because she's never been a really offensive player. She's not really explosive in her serve. She's just a person who played a girl who played a lot of defense, and it made her opponents, have errors because there's so many balls they're having to get back. Bogdan is going to be looking to strike, to have quick points. That's what she does. She's a +1 player. She is mostly a clay player, though. She has a lot more experience on clay than Svitolina. Svitolina only plays clay in the 1,000 tournaments, or if it's the major like Paris, she's mostly a hard court player. So I think that experience combined with the fact that they just met at the Billie Jean Classic, Billie Jean King Classic in Florida, and they played on clay, and Bogdan was able to win a 3-setter against Svitolina. I can't trust Svitolina at this stage, and I especially can't lay those games. Bogdan just overcame a really huge hurdle. Last match, she beat Anna Pavlyuchenkova. She hadn't beaten this lady for one set in the last 5 times they played. She was able to beat her 2-0. I think that's going to give her a lot of confidence moving forward. She's never been this deep in the French Open, so I think she's hungry. I think there's a lot of pressure on Svitolina. As I said, she lives in Paris now, so the crowd will be with her. Her husband will be in the box, but I think that soon she'll be going home with her husband. I don't think that she's going to be able to get past this match. I think that Bogdan upsets her and shocks the world. So give me Bogdan plus 4.5 games, and also we'll do the same ski line and we'll split it, and we'll take a plus 235. A lot of upsets don't fall for these lines, especially in ladies tennis. The deeper you get in these tournaments, it's a lot of value. Do not be afraid, unless you're going against, Sabalenka. Yeah, don't fade her. Or you're going against, you know what I mean? Or you're going against Swiatek, don't fade her. But
Yeah.
these other girls, if they're putting plus money up there for you, you might as well shoot your shot because it's not a big differentiation in talent in the WTA. It's a lot of girls that are playing the same type of tennis and on the same level, and all it takes is it being their day. But I definitely have a reason behind all of these picks, but I love the plus money and the value I have in it because if we win two of them, we're way up, right?
Yes, sir. That's how it works out. That's how the math works out. Um, how do you say her name again? Sweet?
Bogdan,
No, not that. Not her.
Svitolina.
No, not none of these picks that you had. The other
Oh,
girl who's good.
Swiatek.
Yeah, okay. See, okay.
It's not Swiatek. It looks like Swiatek.
Yeah, I'm just reading it
It's
how I see it.
Swiatek. Yeah,
Okay.
I learned the hard way, man. I used to go be on Bet US TV, and I'm on there with my guy Flash. He lives in Costa Rica, but he's a former soccer player in Europe, so he had this British accent. And Noops was on there too, and we're talking about all these tournaments overseas. And you know me, I'm from the hood, bro. I'm from Houston. I'm just betting sports in Vegas, and I know the players were watching, and I don't listen to the telecasters when they're calling. I hate doing that. I listen to Currency or Larry June while I'm watching these games. I don't, I don't listen to them, so I don't know how to say these names. And they were clowning me because I was saying all types of stuff. I was calling them Prague, but I learned over the years from being on there with Flash and them clowning me that, different names and how they say them. And also Spread also is really good at pronouncing these different tennis players' names. It gets quite difficult, man. They got some strange names, but it's Swiatek.
I learn something every day there. So yeah, I guess every now and then I gotta turn the music down.
And like you said, that Svitolina is actually Svitolina. I just didn't want to say it like that because it's kind of, the way that you say it actually is a Svitolina. I'm saying it so you can hear the S, but it's actually Svitolina, which, we can't be doing all these accents and stuff. We're not from Eastern Europe. You know what I'm saying? I'm from 8900 block of 2 stores from Houston, man. I can't say it. It's Svitolina. What did he say?
He just putting a little I forget how you call it.
Yeah, that's how you say Swiatek. Yes, Swiatek. Yeah, exactly.
I got you. Well, good stuff on the tennis. Now moving on over to the best bet segment. And I know you got the wagering world. I know you got your group on Twitter, but talk a little bit to the people about where they can find you and if there's anything else you would like to promote and a best bet for the show.
Well, you can find me. I'm gonna be here with you on Friday as long as you're doing the show this summer. I'm gonna chill, man. I don't feel like cranking out a wager world until football season. So the wager world will be back full-time football season. I had a radio show on ESPN 97.5 and I also be on YouTube. Until then, you guys just hit me on X if you want to join the private group, the Supreme Clientele. Give me a DM. We'll talk about the rates. Some of you guys in the chat group have been in the group and made some money with me on the tennis, and I appreciate you all. So I got that going. I'm actually working with something right now with Underdog Fantasy Sports. I'll have some more information for you about that next week. I have a promo code, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start dealing with some of these props and these DFS. We don't really get it much in Vegas, but everybody else does. So we'll have to chat some DFS plays as I continue to try to work out a partnership with Underdog Fantasy. My best bet for today, I'm gonna have to run with the young girl. She's won 7 straight. We're on Peyton Stearns, man. Plus the game, she has a lot of good experience from playing Andreeva in a major tournament. It wasn't a major, but it was the next thing to it, which is a Masters, a 1,000 tournament. She beat her pretty handily. I just like her experience. I think that it's her time, and we're always going to root for the Americans in this tennis anyway. So we're going with Peyton Stearns plus the games that'd be plus 4 games for the best bet of the day. You guys got to get up at 2 a.m. on the West Coast, 4 a.m. in Houston, and 5 a.m. a little bit better in New York if you guys want to see that match.
Or you could just wake up to some money, however you want to do it.
I have to sweat it. You know me. I'm mad. If I wake up to an L, I'm pissed. At least I could have put my energy on it.
No, I feel you on that. I want to give a best bet here too, and mine is going to be in the W. So I'll go back to that Dallas and Connecticut game. Just I feel like it's a tough spot for Dallas. Like I said, fatigue spot, fourth straight game on the road. They should be, a little bit of a letdown or satisfied after just winning as an underdog. So I think all that lines up for Connecticut to flex defensively, and Connecticut likes to play slow. You add all those things up to me, and it looks like under 161. And I'll share this, but teams in that situation, I'll say this: teams playing their fourth straight road game after winning as a road dog. Those games are 25-8 to the under the last 11 years in the WNBA. So under 161 for my best bet. Appreciate you,
Like-
5-star, for jumping
Hey,
in with
quick
me.
question before we go, Skee. Did you take
Yeah.
the Aces? Aces -8. Is that a good pick?
I'm not mad at it. I do lean. I think the number is pretty fair, and Atlanta
Okay.
is a little bit banged up and shorthanded. So
Okay, I took -8. I just was one. I got to run it by you. Got to see if I need to go buy out.
no. It seemed like it should be a good pick for sure.
Okay, that's a bet.
I'll see you next Friday, or I'll see you on the show next Friday if I don't see you
Yeah.
before then in real life.
Yeah, I'll be down there this evening. I'll hit you when I get down there.
Sounds good. Chat, like we always say, appreciate you guys as well. A lot of great handicappers in there, and all of us putting our heads together is why we can continue to beat the book. So best of luck if you tell. Good luck everybody on all your action. I'll catch you guys next week. Peace.